Sydney, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, and Central Coast. I'm coming to your towns with my show Brews, and in some of them, Get Confident, Stupid. So if you want to get confident, stupid, there's only one way you can do it. You can get your tickets there. Or if you want to find out about my defamation case, that's also the place that you go. The link in the description. Tell you what, I'm really into the youth liking this ancient stuff. It's an extension of the fact that you don't have your own culture and you have to seep off of other people, but nonetheless, you could have chosen worse.
A better you starts today.
How's this? First there was the I think about Rome every second of the day and wank to it. That was the first meme that spread around TikTok. And then the second one, you're coming out with the hits, Gen Z. How's this? The one must imagine Sisyphus happy by some cunt. Probably should have figured out who it was before I started talking, but it was some philosopher. Anyway, the point is, what a great quote. Because, I don't know about you, but up until then, I was always sitting there thinking, I hope Sisyphus is all right. I feel like he's learned his lesson by now, surely. Because just thinking about that, pushing a boulder up a hill for all eternity and then just around the top. It's only been 2,000 years. That's nowhere near eternity. He's still going. Look, I'm aware of the fact that he probably doesn't exist. And I do emphasize this, probably, you don't know. Maybe they were right. So that is the gist of it. That there was a king that was punished by having to push a boulder up a hill because he pissed off so many Greek gods. God, the Greek gods, but I mean, everybody thought that the Old Testament God was a vengeful God. Jesus. I'm going to be on the wrong side of a guy that shoots lightning bolts, am I right? But yeah, so that's what happened. Then what happened next is... well, you know, theoretically. Look, then some philosopher who thinks the same thing as me, that he does exist. Anyway, he came to the conclusion that he doing that is, and I want you to write this down if you haven't before, because this is an important point of self-help, process-oriented as opposed to outcome-oriented. Now, why would you imagine that somebody who was process-oriented being happy? See, this is the whole thing, right? If Sisyphus' goal was to get it over the mountain, like how I was thinking before, well, that's a recipe for really hating eternity. No. What about if... Look, another one of his jobs was just like to just be chained in Hades forever. I'd much prefer the boulder, thank you very much. It could have been much worse. It's so weird that it was just like, okay, so you escaped hell this time. All right, we're going to give you a much better punishment. How's that? Idiots. But yeah, if your goal is to push it over the hill, you're never going to be happy for eternity. Maybe at some point, maybe at the 500th year mark of pushing the boulder up the hill, he thought, I wonder if I can do it faster this time. I wonder if I can do it in the slowest amount of time so I get a lot of resistance on my muscles. Slow motion workouts. Let's see if the fat in the 80s paid out. I don't know if it does. Let me know at the bottom. Is it better to exercise your muscles slowly or fastly? And is fastly a word? And anyway, so that's what happened to old Sisyphus-y boy. And so if you are just imagining you pushing up the boulder for the rest of your life, having to do that every single day, but thinking about it in different ways so that you're like attached to the process of doing it, as opposed to, but I've been said that when I went over the top, I'd be able to go to heaven at that point. It's not coming down again. Oh. What if that wasn't your goal? What if your goal wasn't in heaven? Well, then you'd already be in heaven, wouldn't you? What a great metaphor for society. And just your life as well. But I truly think that this is something societally that people just don't like. People like the idea that a new government gets in, they snap their fingers, all of your problems are solved. But that's not how governments work, nor should they, because they are an extension of humanity, aren't they? They are slow. They are filled with dullards. They are filled with a bunch of very smart people that are just frustrated by just legislation and the way that the laws are written. Like, there's a bunch of things that just the real world interacts with, and then it's not there, yeah? So if your outcome every time is, I don't want there to be homeless people anymore. Say that you become a bureaucrat like that. Well, that is a guaranteed recipe to be Sisyphus pushing it up the hill, being like, maybe I'll get you heaven this time. There's always going to be fucking homeless people. And good, because, what will I be laughing at while I'm waiting for a bus? So that is always going to be there. What is the Sisyphus boulder problem? Just making the graph go down a little bit. That is true key to success in life. I mean, in terms of just happiness, sorry, not success. No, but also actually success. Because here's something else about outcome-oriented people as opposed to process-oriented people. They've done studies of artists that graduated fancy schmancy art school. The ones that were successful were the ones that were more process-oriented than outcome-oriented. What does that mean? It means that the rest of them that were outcome-oriented, as in they just wanted to be a famous artist, that was it. That was their only concern. Well, they were following whatever was the trend of the day. Now, what is the problem with you following the trend of the day? Someone else has set up that trend. So you're already in reaction. You're already one of the greyhounds behind the rabbit. Never getting it. Jesus, talk about a Sisyphus life. Imagine being a greyhound racing dog. Their starvation amuses me. Yeah, so that's the first problem with being outcome oriented. It's just this idea of this vague thing that you have in your head of success and that never arriving ever. Because no matter how well you do, guess what happens? There's more mountain ledge to pull the boulder over. I honestly thought at this point in my life, I would be so happy with everything that I've accomplished in my life, yeah? Because, look, for me, you're probably going to sit there and think, that is a terrible life. I mean, all you do is stand in front of island every day, and, you're just talking to a microphone and whatever. But, dude, I like it. I like being a loudmouth. It suits me. So I was always very, very happy to be at this point in my life until I got there. And now it's not enough. Now there's not enough subscribers. Now there's not enough of you people saying nice comments. Now there's not enough of you liking the video. By the way, maybe you do it, maybe I'll be happy this time. But there's always that, especially because this is something that I also want you to write down as well. So I want you to write down process-oriented, and I also want you to write down, this is a Simon Sinek concept of the infinite game. That's what he's talking about with the pushing the boulder up the hill. Every single one of you is going to have an infinite game, and you have to be comfortable with that. You know that your life is to just push the boulder up the hill. This is how you have service to society, by the way. And you will always feel depressed, angry, like society is screwing you over. Conversely, when you're the one screwing it over, you're the one that's not working, you lazy fuck. But there is always going to be that. When you are not offering a service, you are always going to feel terrible not offering a service. And inversely, you're going to say that it's society's fault. But here's what smart people do. They pick up the boulder and they start pushing. I know that you always hate when I quote Jordan Peterson, and that's why I like doing it, just to trigger all the Twitch tards. But dude, he is absolutely right. That is what you do with your life. You figure out the biggest burden that you can possibly carry, and then you carry that damn burden. That's what you do. You be Sisyphus. He is kind of right about that honestly, Sisyphus is the one that's going to be happy. Now, when it comes to me with politics, for instance, you would think that I'm happy because 6 out of 10 are Labor seats, Labor governments now in terms of state, which is the one that I really give a shit about, the federal one, whatever. You put in John Howard 2.0. Look, I'd much obviously prefer there to be a federal one, but I think that the state is where a lot of the power lies. So anyway, you think that I'd be happy with that. But then I start looking at Queensland's polling numbers, and then I start getting worried. And then I think that the media is being very mean to Chris Minge, so I better fix that up. And so now I feel like when you're a kid and you have built this magnificent castle for a 6-year-old standard. So, very little difference between it and ant mountain. In fact, the ant mountain probably has more shape. But you've done that to the best of your 6-year-old ability, and then you sit there and you're like, maybe you can just put a little turret there. Maybe you can... Maybe not. Maybe you're one of those stupid kids that was just like, I'm going to wait until the other one makes it, and then, I'm going to kick it down. Don't, Callan, don't. Maybe that was you. And if that was you, that was mad. So good. I bet you are the one that is happy thinking about it as opposed to the Sisyphus one. It does completely deride what I'm saying here. But I will say this. You have to pick up a boulder in your life. That is your infinite game. Just know that when you die, much like Steve Jobs, he built the iPhone empire and then he died, and it continues on in much shitter management. But the thing is that the boulder continues. The boulder always continues. You are just one in a long line of people that were going, and you need to accept that that is your lot in life. And as a human being, you will not be happy until you pick your boulder and start pushing it up and accept that it is never going to be at the top of the mountain. As soon as you accept that, happiness. Happiness. Because you have a purpose in life and you know that there is no end to that purpose. Wouldn't it be worse if there was an end to the purpose? That's how I felt at the end of the election. I honestly thought like, well, obviously the Liberals are never getting back in ever again. I could rest easy. And then when I realised I could rest easy, this was something that both me and my producer Christo had. We both thought, what the fuck are we going to do with the rest of it? We're going for another 70 years. I don't know what we're going to do. It was terrible. It was terrible getting the boulder over the mountain. It was much better to realise, oh, thank God, that was just a trough. Time to push it up Everest. That was way better. So, in your life, first off, you need to ask yourself, do you have a boulder, i.e. an infinite game? When you are pushing up that boulder, do you have those moments in your life where you feel like it just keeps going and going? Yes. Yes, it is. And thank God that it does. The third thing that I really need you to remember is being outcome oriented is great for success for about 5 minutes a day. The rest of the day, you should be process oriented. That's where you're going to be happy. What do I mean by process oriented? I mean that you are absorbed in the task that you are doing. If you are not absorbed in the task that you are doing, it is because it's not challenging enough. Then, if you are not absorbed in the task that you're doing and it's boring, you personally need to put it on yourself to figure out a way to make it personally challenging to you. It is not the task's fault. There is always going to be a better way to do everything, even if you just make matchboxes all day. Maybe you can break your record into seeing how many of them have little fidgety, shitty matchboxes every day. There is no end to the infinite game. It is your job to find out where the next level is in the infinite game so that you can push it to there. And that's your life. And you should be happy with that lot. Because I will tell you now, the people that I know that do not have a boulder in life, that do not have that burden, they are aimless, directionless people. They are, what's that Greek myth about like the guy that's like in the river Styx, whatever, doesn't have an oar? Or am I just making that up? Whatever. Your Bart Simpson soul, there's something that I'm very familiar with. Your Bart Simpson without his soul, just in that little soul lake going, wait. That's you. That's the true hell. That's what he's talking about there. So that's my big question. What's your boulder? I'll tell you what my boulder is. Getting you cheap fucks to sign up to Jordan Shanks so that you get 3 more of these videos a week reminding you to be better. And also just constantly, like if somebody is sitting there saying, here's how you improve in life. Have you improved in life? Make sure that you do. Don't settle for what you have now, because if you settle for what you have now, the world loses. Not just you, I swear this is true. The world loses if you settle for who you are now. You should always be striving for growth, and you need someone to remind you of that. And if it's not me, pick someone else, but if you feel inclined, I swear to God, you're not going to find a cheaper coach than me. It's the best investment that you'll ever make in your life. The best possible investment that you can ever make in your life is to get a life coach. It really, like, dude, I mean, you know, if you want to be a world-class golfer, you don't just be like, I'll just keep swinging until I'm good enough. No, you get some crusty old guy to sit there and be like, put more back into it. No, not that much back. And that's going to be me for you.